Good evening from Joliet, Illinois, and Joliet Memorial Stadium. Welcome to today's CCAC soccer broadcast. The University of St. Francis takes on Olivet Nazarene University in a big CCAC matchup today. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's action as the Fighting Saints put their two-game winning streak up against one of the hottest teams in the league, Olivet Nazarene, who has not yet lost in conference play. They sit at the top of the conference standings. They have tied once, but have not dropped a decision, and they have won 4 consecutive matches coming into play today. During that 4-match winning streak, they've outscored their opponents by a combined 20-3. As for St. Francis, they've won 2 in a row by a combined 10-0 count, so it was a very productive week for them last week. They took out Governors State University a week ago today, or a week ago tomorrow actually, last Wednesday. They won at Governors State by a 5-0 score. And then on Saturday, right here in Joliet, they took out Calumet St. Joseph's by the same score of 5-0. So they're on a roll right now. They come into play today with a conference record of 4-1-1. Their only conference loss coming by 1 goal at Roosevelt a couple of weeks ago. And they will try to move ahead of Olivet in the conference's positionings today as the first kick gets us underway in today's match. St. Francis in those long-sleeved gold jerseys today, going from left to right. And they will be shooting into the south goal for the first 45 minutes of action today. Olivet is in purple. The Tigers are going from right to left on your screen, and they're shooting into the north goal to start things off today. An aggressive start for St. Francis as they've pushed deep into Olivet territory in the first minute of the action, but the Tigers take possession on the defensive end for the first time, and they will try to methodically move it back out of harm's way and across midfield in their direction, something they have not done just yet, still haven't. St. Francis intercepts that pass. I'll read you off the names of the starters in just a moment so you know the principal players in today's match. It is St. Francis making their way down the near sideline right now, and in possession of the ball is Emily Galvin. Galvin passes it into the middle of the field, looking down into the near corner and out of bounds. The starting lineup for the Fighting Saints today includes Ishel Palayo, Vivian Ventura, Abby Janacek, Alexis Mariquin, Mia Okana, Litzy Mendez. A chance here in the corner. Nice block by the Olivet defense. Dribbling along the sideline, Abby Cash has it deflected out of bounds. The other starters for the Fighting Saints are Susie Diaz, Emily Galvin, Andrea Aguirre, and Allison Shar, who had a 4-goal performance last week and was named the CCAC Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this year. The starting goalkeeper for the University of St. Francis today is Crystal Rodriguez. Rodriguez has played all but 11 minutes in net this season for the Fighting Saints. She's allowed just 10 goals and made 51 saves, an .836 save percentage. Back on the defense of Olivet Nazarene, Tigers look to clear it. Nice job turning it upfield and pushing towards the sideline. Olivet has not made a run into the midfield yet, and that doesn't change here. Although a nice takeaway there from Tyra Gomes. Gomes looking for the cross in front of the net. Turning towards the net is Malia Miller, but it's knocked away by the Fighting Saints defense. Now coming in at the back end of the play, a long shot is easily saved by Crystal Rodriguez. So Rodriguez asserts herself with her first play of the game. Again, an .836 save percentage coming in. She has 4 shutouts overall on the season and was part of a 5th. Just this past weekend was removed from a game for the first time all year. So she has been very steady in net, but with a big lead in that game the other day. They decided to give her a few minutes on the bench. Nice move by Vivian Ventura, making her way across midfield. Ventura tries to push it ahead towards Shar, but can't quite get it through. It's intercepted and cleared by Olivet Nazarene. Tigers' starting lineup includes Abby Cash and Heidi Kruger, Sarah Leuchinger, Olivia Lorenk, Katie Canuti, Emily Green, Malia Miller, Emma Daniels, Tyra Gomes, and Elena Bear. The starting goalkeeper for the Tigers today is the sophomore from Oak Forest, Illinois, Tessa Kowalski. Kowalski is making her 8th start of the season among her team's 11 games. She's allowed 14 goals and she's made 30 saves. That's a .682 percentage. She steps up and kicks this away with the right foot down towards the sideline. No shutouts officially this year for Tessa Kowalski. She's got one going so far today, but we're only 4 minutes in. So 86 minutes of soccer still to be played. So far, St. Francis has been the aggressor. They haven't gotten any shots off as a result of their aggressive play, but they've been pushing it. They've kept possession primarily for these first 5 minutes of action. The only real scoring threat was not a serious threat, but it did belong to Olivet Nazarene. And that was really their only counterattack of the match thus far. Other than that, it's been St. Francis pushing and pushing and pushing, not able to get any shots off. Olivet Nazarene tried it once. They did get a shot off, but it wasn't a particularly difficult save for Crystal Rodriguez, the impressive freshman goalkeeper. Pass back by Galvin into the middle of the field. Galvin pushes it down the sideline. Schar makes a run. It's too far out in front of her. Schar was able to blow by Sarah Leuchinger, but Heidi Kruger got to the ball first. Schar gets it back and takes the shot, but it's wide to the left and out of bounds. So a goal kick coming up for Olivet Nazarene. Allison Schar gets her first chance. Schar is the leading goal scorer of the season for St. Francis. She's got 9 of their 27 goals. So she scored a third of them. And after her 9, the second highest total on the team belongs to Vivian Ventura, who has scored just 3 times. So Schar has been far and away the best offensive player this year for the Fighting Saints. She also leads the team with 26 shots on goal, 50 overall shots, and 19 points, which ranks 3rd in the conference. Headed by Kruger. Saints get it back. Far corner. Long run to try to keep it in bounds. The cross does go out. Deflected out by Olivet. So the Saints will get a corner kick here. That all set up by Alexis Mariquin. Mariquin hustled to that ball, and even though she was not able to get a clean cross off, she was able to make sure it was deflected off of a purple shirt. So here comes the corner kick going to the back post, headed away by the Tigers towards the near sideline and out of bounds. Saints maintain possession here, but the Tigers have a chance to get their defense a little bit more set as Allison Schar dribbles into the corner, passes off. There's your cross, headed away again by the defense. Backside of the play, one dribble to the right and stolen. On the near sideline, Malia Miller heads it, where it's intercepted by the Fighting Saints defense. Galvin has it knocked away by Miller. And here come the Tigers once more. Elena Bear passes to her left. Katie Canuti tries to get it across, pushed by Gomes and intercepted. Ventura forces it ahead for the Fighting Saints. Here's Litzy Mendez back to Vivian Ventura. Pelayo steps up from the backside. Allison Schar now looking for help across the field. Her pass towards Mariquin is deflected out of bounds. Another corner kick coming up here for the Fighting Saints. Kick comes in again to the backside. Bounces past everybody all the way towards the sideline. And it's tracked down there. Poked away from Pelayo out of bounds. Pelayo reinserts the ball, lobbing it into Schar, and Schar misdribbles it, rolling it to the sideline and out of bounds. 8.5 minutes in, still very early. St. Francis looking for their first goal of the match. has not been able to take a lead on Olivet Nazarene, despite the fact that they have dominated possession for the first now 9 minutes nearly. Pushed along the middle of the field and now passed to the sideline, far side. Kruger into the middle, nearly in some trouble there as Shar tried to jump the passing lane. Olivet continues to pass gingerly back and forth along the back line, despite the pressure from Shar and company. And now there is a deflected pass, headed up into the air, 50-50 ball. Won initially by St. Francis, but headed right to Olivet. Kruger lets it go. Maybe she shouldn't have. There's a shot, and it's over the net. Looked like miscommunication there from Olivet Nazarene. Kruger had a chance to clear that ball, but she didn't do it. Instead, I think she thought that Tessa Kowalski was just going to step up and pick it up. Either that or Kruger thought that offsides was going to be called. Neither one of those things happened. There was no offsides, and Kowalski waited back in net. And once Kruger ran away, it left a wide open opportunity for Allison Shar. Shar stepped in and sent it just high over the net. Definitely the best scoring chance of this young match so far for St. Francis. Should see if they can build a better one right here. Pelayo's pass nearly intercepted, fought back, and the ball is won by Katie Canuti. Canuti has it knocked out of bounds. She touched it last. Throw in here for St. Francis. Just over 10 minutes in. Sarah Leuchinger lofts it down the middle of the field. Long run from Miller. Miller can't get there first. Kicked away by Rodriguez. Here comes Emily Green. Green is stalled, booted down the field by St. Francis. Now here comes Litzy Mendez. Mendez tries to chase it down. Can't get there fast enough. Abby Cash instead is the first one to touch that up. Here's Green. Passing to Canuti. Canuti down the center of the field looking for Miller or Gomes. Didn't have either one of them. And so instead it's pushed out of bounds by St. Francis. Olivet Nazarene will get the throw in here. Far side of the field, deep into the attacking third. So far, so good for St. Francis in this match against the top team in the conference. But Olivet trying to fight their way to a 1-0 lead early here. Passed back to the midfield. Shot from long range deflected. And it goes towards the sideline and out of bounds. I think that was actually deflected a couple of times. In any case, it is a corner kick here for Olivet. So the ball's set up in the near corner for Abby Cash. Fighting Saints have had a couple of corner opportunities so far. This is the first one for Olivet. They play it to the backside. Leuchinger trying to set something up. Passes back to Cash. Back over to Leuchinger. Leuchinger does cross to the backside. Over the head of what appeared to be her intended target, Emily Green. Deflected in front of the net and poked just over the net and out of bounds. Katie Canuti had a nice opportunity, a good look at the net. She's not quite able to tap it in over the head of Rodriguez, but over the crossbar as well. Fighting Saints dodge a bullet there. 13 minutes into the action. We remain tied. We remain scoreless. Battle for that ball is won by Katie Canuti. Canuti did not get her head or her foot on the ball, but by playing aggressively, she forced the Fighting Saints to knock it out. Here's Janacek for St. Francis, intercepted by Bear. Speaking of Bear, Bill Bear, the head coach of Olivet Nazarene, now in his 26th season as that ball is lofted into the box. Scooped up on one hop by Crystal Rodriguez. Olivet's been a powerhouse in the CCAC for a long time and enjoying another great year this season. 6-3-1 overall. They have not lost in conference play. 5-0-1. Out of bounds to the Fighting Saints. St. Francis hasn't beaten Olivet in 5 years. And wins against the Tigers have been very difficult to come by lately. They won just one of the last 10 meetings in this matchup between a couple of longtime CCAC foes. Schar's on the right side. The cross is deflected away. Janacek steps up. Dribbles right. Passes right towards Schar in the corner, but drifts past her, out of bounds. Goal kick. Last year might have been the toughest of any recent losses for St. Francis against Olivet Nazarene. Last season, these teams met in early October in Bourbonnais. Olivet snuck away with a 3-2 win. Trying to take a 1-0 lead here. It's Miller. Leading goal scorer this year for Olivet Nazarene. Malia Miller has the ball knocked off of her foot. Schar chases it down. Does Schar have enough to win that ball? No. Good run at it, but Emma Daniels was able to knock it loose. To the back line. That is pushed away. Last year, St. Francis had a late lead against Olivet Nazarene. Tigers scored in the second half to send it to overtime, and then they scored in overtime to win the game. So at least some of these Fighting Saints players, are thinking a little bit revenge, in addition to the importance of this game as it is. This is a game that the Fighting Saints need to have if they want to contend for the top of the conference, something they haven't done in recent years. They're making some good steps forward. So far, so good against the Tigers. Well, we still have an hour 14 minutes of soccer to be played. Nice defense by the Fighting Saints. Schar doesn't have it in her this time to set something up moving forward, so instead she passes it back. Headed out of bounds off the Tigers. Saints were up in the second half. Olivet tied it. Won in overtime. Their 5th consecutive win against the Fighting Saints. That's why I say I'm sure there are a lot of people on that St. Francis sideline who not only want the win for conference reasons, but just for some personal pride reasons, I suppose. Nice stop by the Olivet defense. Roll ahead. And intercepted by the Saints. Cleared across midfield, and a foul is called on Olivet. It's been a relatively clean game so far. I believe that's the first whistle we've had for a foul. So it's been a very clean game so far. Ball is set for a free kick here from midfield. Here comes that kick. Sent on a line in front of the net, headed away. Tigers looking to clear. This is Green. Passing out front. Nice job by Galvin to step in, nearly intercept that one. Galvin working against Green. Really good defense from Green. Galvin has to give it up. Here are the Fighting Saints along the sideline. Schar cuts it back towards the middle. Pass deflected. Schar tried to pick it back up, but Emma Daniels was there to send it back on a pass instead. Fighting Saints are keeping that pressure on. At midfield, Olivet wins that 50-50 ball. We got a whistle. I'm going to go St. Francis's way here. Offsides, I believe, against the Tigers. Tigers, in their 10 games played this year, have scored 35 total goals. Obviously one of the best teams in the conference, but might be a little bit misleading, the amount of offense. A lot of those games came against inferior opponents. And when you're scoring sometimes 7 or 8 goals in a game when you have the opportunity, so it'll tweak your season stats a little bit. Down the sideline, long run. It's going to find its way to the goalkeeper. Olivet has won games this year 8-1, 7-0, 7-2. Just a random smattering of games. So it just gives you an idea of the type of offensive performance they're capable of. J.C. Wright is coming in for Olivet Nazarene. Wright, wearing that red shirt, is in goal now. So a new goalie. J.C. Wright is in. Tessa Kowalski is out of the net for the time being. Wright is a senior from Fortville, Indiana. She does have playing time this year. This is her 4th game played. She started the previous 3. 2 goals allowed. Here's a run into the box. Malia Miller takes the shot, deflected by Rodriguez, and somehow that stays out of the net, cleared towards the sideline. Rodriguez wasn't able to stick that shot from Malia Miller, but she was able to get enough of her hands on it to slow down the momentum of the ball. Once it got past her, it looked like it was just going to roll softly into the net, and instead, she was able to send it all the way to the sideline. Nearly another shot for Olivet Nazarene out of the throw-in. Cash dribbles her way back to the midfield circle and passes that way. Out of bounds on the pass for the team in yellow. That makes it the purple team's ball here. Big game for St. Francis, even if they win and don't gain any ground on the rest of the conference, aside from Olivet. At least they'll know that they've put up a good performance against one of the best teams in the conference consistently. Trying to make a statement to some extent here. Saints have arrived this year, playing far and away their best soccer that they have in the last several years. Pass looking for Shar on the near sideline. Instead, it's knocked out of bounds. We're past the halfway point here of the first half. No score, St. Francis Olivet Nazarene. Can the Saints change that here? Doesn't look good. Shar tried to chase it down. Cleared by the Tigers. Taken away again by the Fighting Saints. There's a ball into the box, deflected away by Olivet. Deflection belonged to Bree Meehan. She clears out Canuti. Let's Canuti go to work. Now the Tigers are on the move. Pushed ahead, tapped a little bit too far out in front. Now it's loose once again in the box. Cash was there, taken away by the Saints. Good defense that time from Sarah Leuchinger. Passed off to Canuti. Canuti trying to make it happen from the corner. Can't do it. The ball stayed inbounds. And it belongs to St. Francis now, moving from left to right, but only for so long. Pushed out of bounds by the Saints. Leuchinger throws it in. Right off the foot of Malia Miller. Miller's just a freshman from Bloomington, Illinois. She nearly scored a goal just moments ago on the season. Miller is the team's leader with 8 goals. 19 points overall this season for Miller. Ties her with Allison Scharr for 3rd most in the conference. Under 20 minutes to play, first half. Not the most organized soccer you're going to see right now. Both teams are just kind of taking long kicks, hoping that turns into an offensive chance. Well, it has here, or has it? The offsides flag is up. Scharr was out ahead of the pack, but anytime anybody's out ahead of the pack, the question is always raised as to when did they get there. And if the answer is before the kick, then the next answer is offsides. So a free kick here for Olivet, as they have dodged a bullet once more. St. Francis had more chances overall, certainly more time of possession, but it's a little bit different right now for Olivet. They have not been applying the same level of pressure, so that ball goes into the box, scooped up by Rodriguez. But when they have, it's been relatively dangerous, making St. Francis work for it. Still in bounds over on the far sideline for Olivet. Trying to control it this time. They haven't done a lot of that. Pass towards the sideline. Past Galvin and out of bounds. Sub coming on for both sides. It's Haley Bartlaga for St. Francis. Didn't get a number on the new player for Olivet. I'll let you know who it is as soon as I do see it. I think that might be Annabelle Murley, who would be appearing in just her 2nd game of the season, if that is her. Picked up in the box by J.C. Wright. Remember, Wright came in just a few minutes ago in place of the impressive sophomore goalkeeper Tessa Kowalski. Kowalski sitting on the bench down there. Has been. She never went to get medical treatment, so I don't think it was an injury that forced her out. They just wanted to see what else they had in there. Nice steal from the midfield. Can the Saints keep this attack alive? Deflected by Olivet Nazarene towards the near sideline. Tap to the line here. Inbounds, though. Working her way around. Vivian Ventura passes it off. On the near sideline, Scharr tries to keep it in, but off her head. The ball did travel over the line and out. Here come the Tigers starting it out on defense. Free possession for the Fighting Saints, at least the start of it. Fighting Saints work their way on the far side of the field. Sent across. Valeria Valles Garcia had an opportunity, probably better served at this point, just to send the ball to the left side, like I say. Instead, they'll continue to play defense. Hope for a stop here. Passed ahead. Given up by the Fighting Saints. Olivet does use their defense to good effect. Intercepted, kept in bounds by Olivet. Here's Galvin. Galvin tries to turn. It was tough to do with Kaylee Evers right in her face. She was able to push it upfield, but immediately came whizzing right back at her. Crossfield pass to Sarah Leuchinger. Ball bounces back and forth. Coming out of the midfield circle, it is won by Olivet. Rolled into the box. Rodriguez is there to scoop it up, and now we've got a whistle. The clock stops with 14:41 to play in the first half. Looks like we have an injured player. And that injured player is Vivian Ventura. Hopefully nothing serious. Ventura went down during regular play, has not gotten back up in the last minute or so. So she'll get administered to. We have no score here. Just a tad over a half hour in. As the game started, St. Francis was dominating on the offensive end, by which I mean they didn't score any goals, but they kept the pressure on, certainly. They didn't give up any goals during that period either, so they remain tied. Olivet has only had one real stretch during the match where they've had any success developing an attack. Level of success was not too far back. But lately they've been playing defense, and that's what they've done for much of this first half, just play defense. Anybody would like to be able to play defense. You just said, oh, all you can do is play defense. I'm not going to tell you to get out of here. Both of these teams want to turn it into a little bit more. So it's a slow walk, an unsupported walk though, which is always good. Ventura doesn't need anybody to carry her or put their arm around her to make sure she can balance. She is able to walk herself here. And we're ready to continue play. So with one player checking out for the Fighting Saints, another will check in. Natalie Salgado in for the first time. No excuses necessary for Olivet Nazarene. They just make substitutions when they want to. So here they are. They want to. Keely Francis is in for Olivet. Ball sent out to midfield, headed once, now twice. Down on the St. Francis side. Fighting Saints very briefly had possession. Sent back to the goalkeeper. J.C. Wright restarts play to her left. Wright again. This time goes off the back, or wasn't Wright rather. Shot is blocked by Wright, about 15 yards out. Corner kick here for the Fighting Saints. It's their third. They've all come from that far corner. First two didn't go anywhere. So third opportunity now. This time they play it along the sideline. There's the cross into the side of the net. Didn't cross in front of the net after all. Went straight to the side, out of bounds. And a goal kick here for Olivet Nazarene. Olivet came in with a better conference record. Not a better overall record. In fact, it's a little bit worse. It's a team that usually dominates conference play. So the fact that they haven't been able to break a scoreless tie this late in the night is in some ways a moral victory for St. Francis. The real moral victory would be if you get some points out of it. Passed around the midfield by Olivet. Finally a big kick downfield from Sarah Leuchinger. And won by the Tigers. Far side of the field. Here comes the run. Taken away. More good defense from the Fighting Saints. Shar, the CCAC Offensive Player of the Week, passes it back. Now a chance for the Saints. Long run down the far side. Passed ahead. Looking for another cross now. Got in a little bit too deep. No whistles. Play continues. Bodies flying all over the place. That shot from long range from Baez Garcia. Stop before it gets to the net. Another chance here for USF. Another cross. And this one's stolen right back into the corner, but deflected out of bounds. So it'll be a throw in here, but it's a throw in for Olivet. Saints tried to steal that ball in front of the net unsuccessfully. Chipped downfield and cleared. Here's Bears slowing things down a little bit, passing to her left. Running with Bears, Kelsey Bowling. Emma Daniels passes it off to her right. Push down the sideline, and Saints let it go. Not a good reason not to. That stage of the field. Sub coming on for the Fighting Saints. Looks like Claudia Hernandez is checking in here. Tough loss for St. Francis. Rolled right into the middle of the field, but a long shot goes well wide. No real threat there. It's always risky when you even do have that open lane. You can close up fast when there are people around. Taking that shot was definitely a risky move. Well, that's not a high risk. Very low chances of success. I suppose it's worth a try if you don't have other options for taking a shot. The Fighting Saints would like to develop better options. Trying to get it in close. Hasn't worked out much tonight. Throwing coming up for Olivet. Big moment. And it's intercepted. Just for this individual game story, I've been talking about kind of the big picture story, but for the individual game story, that was a big moment, even though it didn't feel like one, just because scoring opportunities have been few and far between today for both teams. You can't afford to lose any of your strikers during a time like this. That play was clean, so no need to clean up that act. Far sideline, kept in bounds. Here comes the Fighting Saints attack. Knocked into the box where it rolls harmlessly into the hands of J.C. Wright. Wright's getting some playing time lately for Olivet. She started 3 games, now playing 1 as reserve. Player down for Olivet. Kaylee Evers was taken out. Clock stops at 8:08. Free kick coming up here for the Tigers. Evers went to the ground. We're going to get a yellow card given. So we're ready to go from midfield. Free kick taken by Leuchinger. Going into the box, headed away nicely by the Saints. Another cross, this one past its intended target, and the Fighting Saints able to clear it for the moment. Hernandez pushes downfield, looking for Bartlaga, and Bartlaga can't get there fast enough. Instead, it's Leuchinger taking it. Oh, run for the Tigers. 2 sides going back and forth. This time down the far sideline for Olivet. All the way down into the corner. Got to do something now. And that something in this case is putting it right out of bounds. So neither team with a serious threat there, though both teams did take a quick trip down the field. Here's the goal kick from Rodriguez. Controlled instead by Olivet. Olivet will get another throw in. Post haste. They'll get a substitute in first, so I guess this throw is not going to be post haste. Not sure exactly what the qualifications of that are anyway. Camille Cote is in. Cote is a junior from Wheaton. She's got 1 assist this year. Her only time on the offensive score sheet. Pushed ahead down the middle of the field and cleared by USF. Here's Haley Bartlaga. Bartlaga running against Leuchinger, and Leuchinger takes it away. Nice defense as usual from Leuchinger. On the sideline, out of bounds. Too close to the sideline there. Galvin pushed off her foot by by Evers, out of bounds. Good to see Evers hanging around after she was apparently pretty shaken up a few moments ago. Tossed in. Right back to the tosser, which was Claudia Hernandez. At midfield, sent back to Galvin. As we approach the 5-minute mark remaining in the first half, still no score. St. Francis and Olivet Nazarene. Not officially a battle for conference supremacy today, but the winner will certainly have a leg up, especially if that winner is Olivet. Saints not far behind. Even the most ardent Saints supporter would tell you that they've been feasting on kind of the bottom of the conference up to this point. It's just another reason why this is a big game from a mental standpoint. You got to show the rest of the league that you can beat the big guys up there. Feet got tangled up there, I think, between a couple of players. We're going to get a yellow card out of it. never mind. I saw him pull his hand out of his pocket, but there was nothing in that hand, so it's not a yellow card. Just a foul. So free kick from the sideline. Sent deep down the field, bounces into the box. Tapped once to the outside, looking for the cross into the middle of the field and easily picked up by Crystal Rodriguez. Olivet not able to get a clean shot off there. Deflected towards the sideline. Bartlaga can't chase it down. Instead it's Leuchinger into the box. Well defended and cleared towards midfield, towards the sideline. Bartlaga tries to keep it in, but it is out of bounds. So credit to Mia Okana for starting a counterattack there for St. Francis, even though ultimately it didn't go anywhere. On sides here, chance for Olivet Nazarene. There's a turn and a shot, and it's wide from Keeley Francis. Rodriguez was in position. Didn't need to make a play on that ball at all. Francis's shot was well wide. Rodriguez just watched it roll out the back line. Down the football sideline there. Possession won by Olivet. Shar tries to take it back from Kelsey Bowling unsuccessfully. Bear taps it back. Over to the right side. Plenty of time here for Olivet. They've got over 2 minutes still. Trying to take a lead into the half. Rodriguez steps in, kicks it away, but right at a Tiger. A shot is deflected out of bounds by Rodriguez. Not sure if that one was on target to begin with, but dangerous moment for Rodriguez. She set it up herself. An ill-advised boot right at an Olivet Nazarene attacker. Another corner kick here for the Tigers. Deflected towards the middle. Now Rodriguez makes a lunge for it, but it squeaks past her. And with just under a minute and 20 seconds to play in the first half, Olivet strikes first. I thought that was Kaylee Evers who scored. Didn't get a great look at the shooter, but I believe Evers. And if that was her, then that's her second goal of the season. So Olivet strikes in the final moments of the first half. And now they are in good position to carry a 1-goal lead into the intermission. Here's Haley Bartlaga working into the corner. And out of bounds along the back line. So a goal kick here for Olivet Nazarene. Olivet will play a little defensive ball here. A little bit of keep away from St. Francis. So they can hold their 1-goal lead into halftime. Looks like it's in pretty good shape right now. Towards the sideline, kept in bounds, now deflected out by St. Francis. Under 20 seconds to play in the first half. I don't think Olivet seems all that excited about trying another shot. I think they're going to let this one go to halftime. With a 1-goal lead, they just want to play a little keep away from St. Francis, and that's exactly what they'll do over the final few seconds as the first half buzzer sounds, and we are officially in halftime here at Joliet Memorial Stadium. Good start for St. Francis, but they couldn't turn their chances into goals. Meanwhile, Olivet got off to a slow start, but they created some good goal scoring opportunities late in the half. One of them went through for him. It happened in the 44th minute, and it means that as we head into the second half, it'll be 1-0 in favor of Olivet Nazarene University. Second half coming up shortly, about 10 minutes, a little bit over 10 minutes from now. I'll come back, get you all prepped for the second half of soccer. Here in Joliet tonight, our score 1-0, Olivet at the break. Two teams are coming out for the start of the second half. It's St. Francis against Olivet Nazarene, and the visiting Tigers have a one-goal lead over the Fighting Saints. 45 minutes into our action today. Terry Bonadonna with you once again as we get set for half number two. Two teams have reversed sides, and St. Francis is looking to tie this thing up and then hopefully take a lead and get out of here with a big victory over an Olivet Nazarene team that picked up a big victory of their own on Saturday in a 3-1 win over Cardinal Stritch, establishing themselves as the sole top team in the conference to this point in the season by points. St. Francis with a win today would tie them up. They'd both be 5-1-1 on their way out of here if the Fighting Saints came up with that victory, but a long way to go in order to get that. They need a couple of goals against a team that has been very stingy in allowing them all season, and in particular today. Olivet takes the opening kick of the second half. The purple shirts now going from left to right. Saints in yellow are moving from right to left. The rest of the way today, here's Olivet trying to make a move right out of the gate. Abby Cash sends it off to Kaylee Evers on the sideline. Evers is their lone goal scorer so far today. It came very late in this first half with just a minute and 19 seconds remaining before halftime. Evers was able to push one through for her second goal of the season. It was assisted by Sarah Leuchinger. That was Leuchinger's second assist this year. Check that. That was her fifth assist this year. Don't want to shortchange anybody. Here's Allison Shar. Shar sends it ahead for Litzy Mendez, a little bit too far out in front of her. Mendez not able to make the play here as Abby Cash steps in the way instead and rolls it forward to Olivia Lorentz. Lorentz has it pushed out of bounds by St. Francis. So 1-0 Olivet. Big matchup for both sides today. And in the first half, Olivet outplayed the Fighting Saints overall, not just by the score, as St. Francis tries to develop something here. Well defended. The Tigers looking to clear it. Here's Emily Green turning it and sending it downfield. O'Connor gets it back for St. Francis. O'Connor ahead to Shar. Shar turns and takes the shot and sends it wide to the right. Out of bounds. One of the better scoring opportunities we've seen from the Fighting Saints in a while, though. Out of the gate, St. Francis was the aggressive team. They really pushed a lot early. Not enough to get a goal through. Not enough to get a lot of good shots off either. They did have a lot of possession time. But it didn't turn into a lot of good goal-scoring opportunities. And then Olivet Nazarene bounced back in the latter stages of the first half and really took over. Overall stats from the first half, 10 shots for Olivet, just 4 for St. Francis. Foul called here on the Fighting Saints. In terms of shots on goal, Tigers had 5 of them. The Saints had only 1. There was a little bit of a surprise from Bill Bear in the first half. He used his bench liberally. That's not surprising, but what was that he switched goalkeepers. Tessa Kowalski played just the first 20 minutes, and J.C. Wright came in after that. Wright's been out there ever since. Along the near sideline, kept in play by Olivia Lorentz, and finally forced out by the Saints. Kowalski and Wright have been splitting playing time this year. Kowalski's played a little bit more than Wright has, but they each started a game last week. It's not at all uncommon for the two goalies to go back and forth. This one is going St. Francis's way on the whistle. First half, just 3 total fouls. 2 called against St. Francis, 1 against Olivet Nazarene. So very clean in that way. Not a lot of stoppages in that first half. Even though Wright and Kowalski have traded starts this year, this is the first time that they've both played in the same game all season. And to see a substitution made like that in just the 21st minute is odd, even more so when you consider Kowalski is the reigning Conference Defensive Player of the Week for her great 10-save performance against Cardinal Stritch on Saturday. It's not as though Kowalski had been playing poorly, but you also can't say that she had been playing well either. Not anything that she did wrong. She just didn't face any shots. So she didn't make any saves. Wright so far has made 1. Right here, though, the Saints are trying to mount some pressure. From the middle of the field, passed off to the far corner of the box. From a long way out, a deflection from Olivet. And now the Tigers look to counter. Canuti sends it downfield. O'Connor quickly pushes it back the other way along the far sideline, towards that line and over it, out of bounds. We're almost 5 minutes into the second half. Our score remains what it was at halftime, 1-0 Olivet. They scored in the 44th minute. Mendez ahead for Bartlaga. Passed off to the left side and out of bounds. El Pilar of St. Francis used just 3 substitutes in the first half. Haley Bartlaga, Claudia Hernandez, and Natalie Salgado. Olivet Nazarene brought 6 different players in off the bench in the first half, so we saw a lot of Tigers. Cleared by the Olivet defense towards midfield. Saints get it back going the other way. Here's Haley Bartlaga passing off to her right. I think she was trying to get Janacek there over her head, but pulled back in off the back end. Now here come the Fighting Saints. Bartlaga loses her footing. Maybe a little bit of a shove from behind by Abby Cash, but no call against Cash. The only call is the ball out of bounds, a throw in for Olivet Nazarene. Fight for the ball there, won by Olivet initially, but St. Francis ends up taking it. Now a whistle with some yelling coming from the Olivet bench. They voiced their pleasure as the call is made against St. Francis. Olivet will get a free kick here. Players on both benches wrapped up in coats. It's a beautiful day here in early October. But even a 70-degree day in October tends to get a little bit cooler when the sun goes down. There's a chill in the air, and this might be some of the warmest weather we get the rest of the season. Some cold weather starting to roll in later this week, and it'll be staying for a little while. That rolls out of bounds. We got a corner kick coming up for Olivet. This is their 3rd corner kick of the game. St. Francis also has had 3 chances from the corner. This one will be set up on the near side. Passed back. There's a ball to the back post and trying to slip in from the back side. I think that was Bear, but came in a half step late. Ball goes out the back side. Or the back sideline, I should say. It's out of bounds. Back side of the play. Lob back into the box. Olivet trying to double their lead. Deflected out of bounds. And we'll get another corner kick. This one from the far side of the field. And this will be the 4th corner kick of the game for Olivet Nazarene. Cash dribbles it down to the corner to set it up. Last time they played it short. Nobody up front with Cash this time. Lofted in front of the net, deflected away by the defense, and cleared nicely by St. Francis' defense. O'Connor looked like she was ready to launch a counter strike there. Didn't happen. It was halted as the ball rolls back into the box. Rodriguez picks it up. Olivet by a goal here. These two teams have played a lot of close contests over the years. Last season, the Tigers came from behind to beat the Saints in overtime. Something that wouldn't happen this year. They eliminated overtimes starting this season in college soccer, so no chance of that happening again. Still, That's a sour taste, I know, from a season ago for all the players who were with the Fighting Saints last year. That late defeat. Here's a run from Mendez. Bartlaga out in front of her. Loses the ball. Bartlaga chases it down. Passes it off. This is O'Connor. She had Mariquin along the sideline on the left. Looked like she wanted to get it there. Instead, it was well defended. So passed it back instead. Claudia Hernandez. Or, sorry, Susie Diaz. Diaz loses it out of bounds. Last touch by Olivet. The substitute comes on for St. Francis. Bartlaga leaves. And see who came in for her. I'll look around as we go here. Out of bounds on the sideline. We're 10 minutes into the second half. No further progress has been made in this game since halftime. Olivet trying to keep it that way right now. Working on the defensive side. Throwing it in. Trying to prevent any attack from St. Francis here. The Fighting Saints get the next throw in. Hernandez lobs it forward. Here's Alexis Mariquin. Mariquin crosses it in front of the net. There's nobody there wearing St. Francis colors, so an easy clearance this time from Olivet. At midfield, here's a run from the Tigers. Green slows it down and passes to her left. Working down the far sideline. O'Connor tries to clear that one. Knocks it off of a Tiger and out of bounds. So the throw-in does belong to the Saints here. Not able to clear it completely, though. Not just yet. Saints offense had been humming. 10 goals over the last 2 games. Over prior to that, they had been held to just 1 goal in their previous 2 games. Certainly the offense has been a little bit behind the defense this season for the Fighting Saints, which is to say that the defense has been really good. Canuti tries to turn it upfield, knocked off her foot out of bounds. A corner kick coming. Just 10 goals allowed coming into tonight in 11 games. So if they hold Olivet off the scoreboard the rest of the way today, even with that 1 goal up there, they will still have managed to allow fewer than 1 goal per game, or at least less than 1 goal per game. Rodriguez came in with a 0.92 goals allowed average. Abby Cash sends in this corner kick. Headed away. Close call right there. There was a body in front of the net. Saints wouldn't let her get a clean angle. They'll get another chance here, though. Deflected out. Another corner kick. Defense coming through so far today for St. Francis as well. The offense so far hasn't been there. Headed away. Loose and cleared by the Fighting Saints. Here's Alexis Mariquin trying to turn this thing around. Sent ahead across midfield. Green is waiting back on it for Olivet. Green has an easy clearance there. Fighting Saints now trying to make a push down the middle of the field, right at the edge of the circle, taken away by the Tigers. Olivet on the counter strike. That's Canuti taking it down to the far sideline, forced off of her foot out of bounds. Right back to the sideline, taken away by the Saints. Quick run down the sideline. It's Shar working against Green. And Green is able to push it back to the foot of J.C. Wright. So no threat from St. Francis this time. Olivet clears the attack before the attack even really begins. And now the Tigers on the move. Daniels passes to her right. This is Olivia Lorentz. Lorentz's pass drifts into no man's land. And O'Connor clears it towards the other box, which means that Wright can pick it up. I was saying about St. Francis, the defense has been stalwart all year. They've scored 27 goals in 11 games, so it's hard to complain about the offense either, but the offense has done a lot of feasting on some of the weaker competition they've faced this year. 10 goals in a couple of blowout wins last week. They scored 5 against Indiana South Bend early in this season. So that's 15 out of the 27 goals scored in just 3 of their 11 games. And in their other 8 games, they're averaging only 1.5. They have been shut out a couple of times this year, most recently 2 weeks ago today, as Olivet tries to extend their lead. Dribbling in the box, Lawrence takes a shot. Jumping save made by Crystal Rodriguez. Most of that run was made by Katie Canuti. Canuti lost the ball, though, and it drifted instead back to Olivia Lawrence. So Lawrence is the one who tried to take the shot. Lawrence has scored 3 goals this year. Not this time, didn't get a lot on it. So even though it was placed relatively well, Rodriguez was in perfect position to make a jumping save. Call that probably the best save of the night so far from Crystal Rodriguez. Got her at 5 overall today. She hasn't had a bad game at all, despite the fact that she is on the losing end right now. So far, her team's struggling offense has not been able to get a goal across, and I refer to them as a struggling offense, despite the fact that the Olivet Nazarene defense has had probably the bigger part to play in this shutout. Olivet coming into this game had allowed only 16 goals this year in 10 games played. There's a shot, scooped up by Wright, and that's, I don't want to say a desperation shot from Allison Shar, but maybe a little bit of frustration baked into it because it wasn't the best look at the net. But the Saints haven't been getting the best looks at the net. Sometimes when that's the case, you just start taking shots from a little further out, just try to make something happen. Put the defense back on their heels a little bit. And then keep your fingers crossed that maybe something weird will happen in the net and ball will actually go in. Rolled out of bounds on the sideline after a long run from Hernandez. Heidi Kruger is coming back in for Olivet Nazarene before play resumes. Less than a half hour to play in this match. This has not been dominated by Olivet, to say the least, but they haven't needed to dominate. They just needed to make one good kick at a crucial moment, something that St. Francis has not been able to do so far. That throw got away a little bit, and maybe a chance for Shar, but she didn't recognize it right away. May have cost the Fighting Saints. Shar did get it back. Or Janacek, rather, than Shar on that last play. Janacek taps it ahead here. Rolled into the box before it can reach Litzy Mendez. 2 Tigers jump in the way and force the steal. Back on the defensive end, Olivet Nazarene slows it down. Kruger passes back behind her. Down the field and out of bounds. Throw in for the Saints. Cleared by the back of the defense for St. Francis. Shar tries to make a push on Cash. Cash holds her ground and holds amidst Alexis Mariquin's pressure as well. I think we got a foul on the Fighting Saints right here. Free kick for Olivet. Ahead 1-0 with just over 26 minutes to play in the game. Nice passing from the Tigers to keep possession. Off to the far side. Daniel sends it into the box. To the back line. It's kept in bounds. There's the cross and out of bounds. There's a St. Francis defender there. I didn't see who it was. Was that Galvin who took a kick of the ball and it ended up kind of squirting below her foot, her raised foot to kick it away. Trickled in underneath and freed up a pretty open opportunity for Olivet. The Tigers seemed initially, though, a little caught off guard by the fact that that play wasn't made. Made it harder for them to get anything good out of it, but they did get something. It's called a corner kick. And there's the kick, punched away. Another chance maybe. No, that might be it on the corner kick. There's a shot, and Rodriguez makes the save. Yes, I don't judge that as a corner kick shot, but that's not the point. The point is there was a shot on a rebound, and Rodriguez was in position. She makes the play, keeps this one at a 1-goal deficit. Good run here, Mariquin. Mariquin blows by Daniels, dribbles into the box. She takes the shot. It's under the foot of Wright, but Mendez cannot put it in from behind. Great setup by Alexis Mariquin. With 24 minutes to play in the first, or rather in the second half, a corner kick coming up for St. Francis. So they do have a chance on the corner right now, but I know they're kicking themselves a little bit for not finishing it off already. Wright dove on top of that ball off the shot from Mariquin, and it slid in underneath her. Here's the corner kick, going to the back post, too far back, over everybody's head on one bounce, out of bounds. Disappointing chance there for the Fighting Saints. Mariquin was all alone in front of the defense. She wasn't at the perfect angle. Wright had her played well. So Wright was apparently able to make the initial stop, but the ball came out from underneath her, which meant that with no defense present, it probably would have rolled straight in. Instead, Mendez tried to finish it off and tap it in herself. But as she did so, a defender came in, got a piece of it, and forced Mendez to miss the goal by a hearty margin. Camille Cote is back in for Olivet. Olivia Lorentz takes a seat. Player down for Olivet, but no whistle. She's very quickly back up, so no man advantage for the Fighting Saints. Down on the far end of the field, Olivet's able to control it so far. We're more than halfway through this second half already. Still 1-0. Olivet scored in the final 2 minutes of half one. They've been clutching onto that lead ever since. Along the sideline, squeezes by everyone, but nobody there to play it for Olivet, so an easy clearance still for St. Francis. And now as the ball goes out of bounds, they'll all get back into their defensive positions, try to turn this one upfield as they look for the equalizer. Into Daniels. Emma Daniels passes it back. Taken away by the Fighting Saints on defense. A little bit of an awkward kick. Ends up going out of bounds. From the defensive side, Kruger tries to work her way forward for Olivet to no avail. Intercepted again by St. Francis, right back to Olivet. Taken away by the Saints. Mariquin got the feed from Hernandez there. She was stopped, so right back to Hernandez, and Hernandez starts to work her way forward. She gets knocked away from the ball, out of bounds, and it's off of the Fighting Saints. The throw-in is intercepted. Here's Mariquin once again. Mariquin feigns right, passes left instead. Now the cross headed in front of the net and poked away by the defense. Backside of the play. Fighting Saints will try for one more run here. Hernandez works with Jakubiak. Now taken by Olivet Nazarene. Pushed ahead, deflected by Galvin to the backside, and played there by Rodriguez. Here's positioning for St. Francis. Mendez had a step there on Abby Cash, backing her down, but Cash reaches her foot in from behind and knocks it off of Mendez out of bounds. So the defense sets up for Olivet as the Fighting Saints take their chance. Hernandez to her right, intercepted. Taken right back by the Saints. Janacek passes to her right. Into the box off the foot of Shar. Spun down into the corner. Looking for help over the middle. There's a run deflected out of bounds. Corner kick coming up. Both of these teams have had a fair number of chances on corner kicks. Neither one has been able to make it work yet. Olivet's lone goal did not come off of a corner late in the first half. Backside and a battle for the ball, won by St. Francis. Knocked out, and we've got a goal kick this time. Well, now they've switched it up. It'll be a corner kick after all. So from the near side this time, Fighting Saints set up for a corner kick. O'Connor sends it away with the right foot. Through the hands of Wright, but it didn't cross the line. Another chance for the Fighting Saints. O'Connor sends it in. Close. Deflected towards the back line. Out for another corner kick. Al Pilar is leaping up and down, and a lot of his players have their hands up as well, trying to figure out how that ball didn't cross over the back line. If it did get through the hands of J.C. Wright. Wright was standing right back up against that back line, so theoretically if the ball went behind her, it would have been in the net, but it never touched the ground, which makes it very difficult to see whether or not that one actually did go in the net. Headed from the back. No go that time for St. Francis. So a couple of corner kicks come up empty. And Olivet Nazarene will succeed here in clearing the ball out of harm's way. Under 17 minutes remaining in this match. Olivet tries to salt it away. Well played game by the Tigers so far, and you have to give them credit for back-to-back tough games. And now St. Francis will try to make it happen. A shot comes in from, I think that was Hernandez, who had it deflected away. Looked good in development. Didn't go anywhere. Saints are able to get it back here. Off the effort from Shar. Here's Mendez. Mendez back to Shar. Rolled off to the right side. Janacek bumped by Green. Gets the pass away anyway to Galvin. Down the far side of the field. Mariquin makes a run on it. Knocked from her grasps though. Backside Mendez. Blocked by a defender. Sent deep into the box in front of the net. And it rolls to the back line. That's out of bounds. Another corner kick coming up. We've had loads of these. One of them just moments ago very nearly created a goal. And if you ask anybody on that St. Francis bench, they may tell you that it did, in fact, create that goal, but it was not called that way. The ball headed straight up into the air. To the backside, Schar's pass deflected. Cleared for the moment and cleared for good by Olivet Nazarene. Now here comes the counter run. Just two defenders back for St. Francis. Long run for Canuti, but she's blowing by a couple. That's Miller, rather. Malia Miller blew by a couple of defenders, but couldn't get by the last few. St. Francis did hold up strong there. Along the sideline, Mariquin tried to knock it down with her chest, and she is able to take control away from Abby Cash. She keeps it away from Green as well. Mariquin on the run with a couple of defenders right around her. Tried to push it through, looking for Okana, and the whistle blows. We're going to get a foul here on Emily Green. Green given a yellow card. 14:34 to play. Free kick coming up for the Fighting Saints. That's a little bit more important at this stage of the game than the yellow card is. They just want their chances, and having the clock stop for them is not such a bad thing in their minds at the moment. Kick comes in. Over the head, I think, of its intended target. Headed once more on a bounce played by Wright. One goal lead, still safe for Olivet, but for how long? Andrea Aguirre on the free kick tried to push one through right there. Didn't happen. But now Mariquin makes a run and Wright scoops it up. There's the punt to midfield. Won by Olivet. Tigers on the move. Passed ahead to the right side and too far for a now hobbling Camille Cote. Shaken up a little bit on that one. She seems to be okay. Maybe just a little spasm as she was chasing down that ball. Too far out in front of her, even I think if she were going at full speed. Okana twirled around by Cash, and Cash wins possession. Abby Cash looks to her left, passes back behind her to Green. Up into the box and headed away. Cleared by the Fighting Saints. Mendez, nice pass, tapping it to her left. Okana works it ahead for Mariquin. Mariquin, one tap, able to get it by the defender, but can she do the same? Doesn't look like it. Daniels is able to win that race. Nice work by Emma Daniels. Two Fighting Saints nearly run into each other there, but a nice job by Abby Janacek to make sure she was able to knock it off of a Tiger and keep her team in control of possession here. Tossed into Mendez. Mariquin loses it to Green. Here's Gomes. Tyra Gomes passes to her left. Far sideline here, deflected by the Fighting Saints right at midfield. Passed over to Daniels, and Daniels works it back to the defensive line. Olivet Nazarene trying to win their second straight match against a would-be contender for the CCAC crown. A win today for St. Francis would move them into a tie with Olivet. As for what place, it would depend on what some of the other teams do around the conference this week as well. Olivet was able to capture first place by beating Cardinal Stritch over the weekend. A tie would not be as good as a win for St. Francis, naturally. Would not move them into a tie with Olivet, but it would keep them a little bit closer. A loss would be a -3 in the points column for the Saints compared to where the Tigers are going, whereas a tie would be no net difference. We got a handball on Olivet Nazarene here. So a free kick for St. Francis. Fighting Saints used over 20 players in their win on Saturday. Today, much more conservative. With the substitutions, they do have somebody getting ready to come in on the sideline right now. But they're sticking with their regulars, trying to find a way to generate some offense against this tough Olivet Nazarene team. O'Connor works it down the sideline, off of her foot. And before the Olivet throw-in could occur, we've got substitutions coming in for both sides. Canuti is back in for Olivet, as is their goal scorer, Kaylee Evers. Look like Angelina Rodriguez coming in for the Fighting Saints. Just about down to our final 10 minutes here. Here's Shar down the sideline. Shar keeps it in bounds. Cash providing tough defense, though, and Cash lets it trickle out of bounds. Goal kick here. One to nothing, Olivet leads. They scored that goal nearly 40 minutes ago now in game time, just before halftime. Down the far sideline, long run, nobody able to reach it for Olivet. Rodriguez steps up, sends it right back the other way and out of bounds. I don't think that's exactly where she wanted that kick. It allows Olivet to get their offense set down the field. It allows St. Francis to get their defense set as well, but they don't want to be in that position to set their defense at this stage of the match. A little bit too late for that. They want to be constantly on the move, keep working on their offense. Tough spot in the corner. Both teams struggling for the ball. Knocked towards the sideline. Rolled out of the corner a little bit. And out of bounds on Olivet. Into the box. And lost, and nearly trouble there for the Fighting Saints. The ball was initially lost to the Tigers. Francis was unable to generate a shot opportunity. It was deflected out of bounds by St. Francis. So a throw in for the Tigers. Cash lobs it in, poked right back out. She'll lob it in again. Getting late here. Olivet can afford to take their time in a way that St. Francis can't. This is Cash for Evers and out of bounds. Kaylee Evers, the only one to score a goal in today's game. She did so with 1:19 remaining in the first half. Free kick here for the Fighting Saints on the offsides call. Right back to Evers, who resets the Olivet offense. She has it deflected off a Saint out of bounds. In the corner, tapped once and taken away. So now the Saints will try to methodically make their way down the field, the way that Olivet has been able to do so over the last few moments. They'll do it in the air if necessary. Finally, a header is brought in by Olivet. Rachel Loudermilch. Passed off to the left side. Wrestled away from her. Can the Saints keep possession? In this case, they can. for at least a little bit. They've got a sub coming on. Abby Janacek, who had just a brief time on the bench, checking right back in. There's the throw down the sideline. Pushed further ahead. Saints working urgently here. Nobody in yellow there on the far side, so an easy stop for Olivet. Saints at least trying to turn the field here. They're not going to be able to do so if Olivet quickly takes it the other way. Stuck at midfield right now. Saints just haven't been able to get possession back. Another throw in coming for the Tigers. Headed back by the Saints to midfield. This is Mendez. Taken away by Olivet. Downfield and out of bounds. They can run a little bit more clock here. Tossed in along the side by St. Francis. Rolled into the middle where it's taken over by Olivet. Forced back and forth around this neutral third of the field here. This game's been pretty tight all the way throughout, pretty evenly played. Various stages, one team where the other has looked superior, but overall for the game, I'd say it's been about as tight as you can get. Headed away by the defense. Knocked free of that defense, and now they're on the move again. Evers. To the sideline, and kept in bounds by Lawrence. Finally out of bounds. Intercepted by Lawrence here. Olivet's doing a good job of just keeping it away from St. Francis right now. This offense does not have to consist of anything all that special. Just don't let the Saints get any shots off. You're home free. 1-0. The Tigers lead the Fighting Saints in a big CCAC matchup. We're once again on the far sideline, just past midfield. Now here come the Saints. This is O'Connor working her way back. Deflected into the box. Still fighting. And a foul is called, or offsides called against St. Francis. Offsides against St. Francis, I believe, or a foul. And pick up the ref there. It's a free kick for Olivet, and they can run this down to under 3 minutes to play before taking this kick. They do it just a little bit before that. The point is still the same. We are under 3 minutes to play. The Saints have to act in a hurry. No dawdling now. They're very short on time. Here comes Shar, working her way back to the middle. Passed ahead where it's headed backwards, and prior to that header, offsides had already been called. So free kick for Olivet here, and again, they can take their time. Each one of these is a stinger to St. Francis. They can take a lot of time off the clock, and then they can reverse field, making it very difficult for the Fighting Saints to mount a strike. Cash crosses field with it. Out to midfield. Rachel Loudermilch passes to her left. Forced down the way by Olivet Nazarene towards that far sideline. And over the line, out of bounds. Throw in for the Fighting Saints with under 2 minutes left. It's been a while since the Saints have even put a scare into Olivet Nazarene's defense. They had a few of them early this half. See if they can right here. Starts with a good run. Into the middle of the field. Coming in the backside. Battle for the ball is won by St. Francis. Put in front of the net. Knocked away by Wright. Another chance for St. Francis. Blocked by the defense. And cleared by Olivet. Time called here. Player down for Olivet Nazarene in front of the net. So a wild sequence. Wild sequence in which the Saints had a couple of shots. Wright was able to come up with one stop. And I didn't see who it was exactly on the defense, but following a rebound, one of the defenders was able to get in the way and prevent it from going. This was right at the time in the first half that Olivet Nazarene scored their goal. It came with 1:19 left. The Saints almost answered with the identical amount of time remaining in the second half. This flurry of activity did produce an injury. The player down for Olivet Nazarene is Olivia Lawrence. And Lawrence was slow to get up, but she is up now. We'll see how she's looking on her way off the field. I would think her day will be done here. They'll bring in somebody for the last 77 seconds to try to lock it down or help lock it down. She is walking off towards the sideline. Maybe a little uncomfortably, but no noticeable limp. I'm not sure where the pain initially occurred, but she seems to be okay. But again, only 77 seconds remaining. It'd be the best idea for Bill Bear to just bring in somebody else to close it out. It's going to be Olivet Nazarene with the ball when we're ready to resume action here. And at a point where they can really just run some clock. Annabelle Murley checks in for the injured player here. So Murley makes what I believe is her first appearance for the last minute plus. Ball out of bounds. By the time this one gets put back in play, we'll be right around the 1 minute mark. Still in bounds down in that corner. Still in bounds, and the Saints are somehow able to take it away, but Daniels is there waiting. Daniels loses it. St. Francis down the middle of the field. They'll get one more chance here. It's Litzy Mendez trying to turn it up. Off to the outside, long run, but kept alive with 28 seconds to play. Down the far sideline, nobody there for the Fighting Saints. Wright clears it. And that might do it. Looks like Janacek trying to start one more strike here for St. Francis. They will get one more chance. Aguirre passes right down the middle of the field. That's poked away. That's out of bounds off of Olivet. And that should do it. 5 seconds still remaining. The Saints work quickly. They'll try to get a shot off here, but they don't have enough time to do it. And Olivet Nazarene finishes off a 1-0 victory over St. Francis. So a goal scored at the very end of the first half holds up. It's enough for the Tigers of Olivet to pick up their 5th consecutive win, maybe their hardest fought victory of that entire stretch. They had been blowing opponents out. This is the second time during their 5-game winning streak that they have picked up a 1-goal victory. They did it in a 2-1 final against Trinity Christian, and now they do it today 1-0 against St. Francis. 3rd time this year the Fighting Saints have been shut out. It's just surprisingly the 2nd time this year that Olivet Nazarene has won in a shutout. Fighting Saints with this loss dropped their record to 8-3-1 overall for the season. It's their first loss in their last 3 games. They dropped their conference record to 4 wins, 2 losses, and a tie. As for Olivet Nazarene, their record now 7-3-1. So they're inching ever closer to St. Francis's overall mark, but their conference record is definitively better, 6-0-1. So no conference losses for Olivet Nazarene. That continues after today, and this was a big win for them because instead of finding themselves in a tie with the Fighting Saints. They find themselves a full 2 games up on them, essentially 6 points ahead of the Fighting Saints. The only goal was scored by Kaylee Evers. It came off an assist from Sarah Leuchinger, and that was back in the 44th minute, at the very end of the first half. And from that point on, not a lot of offense, none from either side. Our final stats from the game: shots were very even, 14 for Olivet, 13 for St. Francis. Playing with the lead in the second half, Olivet was maybe a little bit more careful, a little bit more tentative. They only took 4 shots in the second half. Shots on goal, the finals were 5 shots on goal for St. Francis, 7 for Olivet Nazarene. 6 saves made by Crystal Rodriguez. J.C. Wright made 5 saves for Olivet Nazarene. She gets credit for a partial shutout today after Tessa Kowalski played the first 20 minutes. And J.C. Wright earns that partial shutout despite the fact that she did struggle at times today. A couple of saves weren't necessarily pretty, but they were saves just the same. That's really all that matters. We saw 14 total corner kicks in this game, 8 total fouls. They were pretty even for both sides. St. Francis falls today to Olivet Nazarene. Our final score is 1-0. They head out on the road this weekend to take on St. Ambrose. Our next St. Francis soccer broadcast will not be the women's team, but it'll be the men's team taking on Olivet Nazarene tomorrow night at 7:05. That's it, or 7 o'clock rather. That's it for today's matchup. 1-0 our final score. Olivet Nazarene defeats the University of St. Francis. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, this is Terry Bonadonna signing off from Joliet Memorial Stadium in Joliet, Illinois. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night.